Clippers, the Lakers, and Golden State all basically one game away from either hosting a playoff series or being in the play-in tournament.
Ron, you went live.
That's why that's why I'm a firm believer that the regular season does matter, because it can be the difference between hosting a playoff series and being in the quote-unquote play-in tournament. So a 10th place team, I mean, if you got 82 games, if you can't get in the playoffs by 82 games, and then by game 78, all of a sudden you turning it on, or by game 75 you turning it on, and you're looking like a 6th seed or a 5th seed in the West. Like, where was this all season long? Specifically, if you didn't have injury, where was this all year long? What was going on? So I think the play-in, I'm not a fan of the play-in tournament. I've never really been, but that's just me.
I get it.
I like the play-in for the guys in like the 6 and 7 and 8, like 9 seed, but when you're including everybody else, is like, I didn't really like it like that. Like the Hawks versus Miami, I thought it was dope. Having the Lakers and the Wolves, I thought it was dope, but then like the other teams is like, I don't really care about these teams like that.
You didn't like that? Hey, Dub, you didn't like that game last night? You didn't like the OKC game last night?
I couldn't watch it. I was literally streaming the whole night. So
Dub, is Chicago a playoff team? Question, Dub, is Chicago a playoff team?
I don't think so. I don't think they are.
And here's what's about to happen. They beat Miami 3 times. Miami hasn't beaten them once all season long. They beat Miami 3 times. Now here we got a Chicago Bulls team coming down to South Beach with a legit shot to make the playoffs, who, by the way, finished 10th in the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Miami fought to get the 7th spot.
If I may interject, this playing game drives me insane. Insane. And here's why.
Toronto was a playoff team. Toronto was a playoff team.
Toronto's not a playoff team.
I'm not Toronto. I'm sorry. Atlanta was a playoff team.
Atlanta's a playoff team. But Miami spent what? The 82 games, like you said, building up a 3-game lead on them. They don't need to play. They're a playoff team. That's why you play the 82 games. But listen what else we're doing. So now we're putting Atlanta at 7, even though the other team was 3 games up on them. Chicago now, is it Chicago? No, Miami. Miami, who was 3 games up on Chicago, I just want to make sure I'm correct. 3 games up on Atlanta, 4 games up on Chicago, has to play 2 more games. And what's the reward for playing 84 games? Oh, you get the well-rested Bucks in the first round. How much more advantage does the first place team need, other than having home court and being the better team? Now the other team has to go play 2 more gut-wrenching games, it looks like. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I think part of it, too, though, is you had a lot of people complaining for literally the last 30 years, because this goes back to the 80s, where the bottom teams, the 7th and 8th seeds, a lot of times were already under 500 teams. So a lot of people were complaining that these people didn't deserve to be in the playoffs either. You getting in the playoffs with 30-something wins. You didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. So now they're trying to make it competitive to where, like, say you had 37 wins and got to the playoffs. Well, what about the team that had 36 wins or 35 wins? So, again, I understand y'all point, but I also understand that the way we were doing it, the last 10, 15 games of the season, they were irrelevant. Nobody was watching them.
Elder, your mic real staticky. It's kind of scratchy.
I can still hear you, though, but it's scratchy.
The way we were,
it's like static. It's like static.
Games of the season, they were irrelevant.
Nobody. Elder.
Who's that playing that? Okay. I'll take the headset
off. Elder, just redo your setup and we'll get you back in. Mm-hmm. But as we were saying, how you guys feel about the play-in tournament as a whole?
I'm conflicted, bro. I'm conflicted about it. Because it's like, that's a good point, though, that Fluent made. Like, if I'm fighting to get a lead on these guys, and then now I got to go back and play them and this and that, like, it's to me, that's, as I say a lot, basketball is not fair, but at some point, though, that's just not cool. Like, especially, I think if they had something in there where maybe it was like a gap, like if we're up 5+ games, then we're not doing it. If it's like, I don't know how you could work it, but I'm just conflicted on it. Because if I'm saying, if I'm in the 8 seed and I got a 5-game lead on the 9 seed, what are we doing this for?
Right. Why are we here?
What's it?
And by the way, Big Ox, not only do I have a 5-game lead, the 9th seed, we smoked them the regular season. Yeah. We beat them 4 times, but I got to play them in order to get into the playoffs.
To talk about more about what Elder said. Yes, this is why I said, like, people are annoying to me, bro, it's like because at the end of the day, bro, everybody has something to complain about, right? They've been complaining about that for years, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really jeopardize in the grand scheme of things, right? Is a play-in really crucial? Like, if a team is missing in the 9th and 10th seed, is that really crucial to the whole grand scheme of the NBA? It's not like these guys are about to make a run to the NBA Finals or anything. You feel me? So, of course, humans are humans. They're going to complain about anything, bro. It is what it is. You can't please everybody. So when people are making these decisions, does this really affect the grand scheme of basketball? At the end of the day, bro, I mean, the play-in's cool to watch. I think it's entertaining, but if they got rid of it last year, I wouldn't. I could care less. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
Yes, it does, though, Dub. Simply because, number one, Chicago is the first team since the play-in tournament started. Chicago, Oklahoma City. No 10 seed has ever won a playoff in the play-in. That's number one. Number two. So you guys, let's just say for the sake of argument, they beat Miami.
Hold on. Didn't the Pelicans do it last year?
No,
this was the first 10 seed.
The first
Pelicans,
10 seed.
the Pelicans were an 8 seed. I think they were an 8 seed last.
They were 8 seed. Chicago,
they weren't 8.
Chicago and Oklahoma City are the only.
Yeah, because they lost to Minnesota.
They were the 9 seed. They were the 9 seed last year.
No, they were the 9 seed because it was Minnesota Clippers in the 7-8.
No other 10 seed has done that. No other 10 seed has won. So with that being said, here we are, Dub, where Chicago ends up. They got to play you guys. So let's just say for the sake of argument, they beat you tomorrow. Then when they beat you guys tomorrow, let's say they beat you guys tomorrow, they go up against Milwaukee, who ultimately has an injury. So now they're rolling coming into the playoffs, and now that 4-game series now turns into 6 or 7 games where Chicago may beat these dudes. I know that's unlikely, but you know what else is unlikely? Being a 10th seed and making the playoffs. That's unlikely.
I feel you on that.
In terms of the grand scheme of things, add that to the fact, and one more thing, add that to the fact that this could boost morale. This could boost being a free agent, wanting to go play for these guys. These guys end up going on a run. You know, Chicago doesn't really look like a bad place to play now. It looks like actually a really good place to play as opposed to what they were initially, which was a 10 seed.
So are you advocating for the play-in? Because it sounds like you're giving a lot.
No, I'm not. I'm not advocating for the play-in. No, what I'm advocating for is I'm advocating for the fact that we already have a play-in tournament. 82 games. If you can't get into the playoffs after 82 games, you're not a playoff team.
To me, it did solve I didn't get a chance to say that one part. It solved the problem of the last 10, 15 games of the season being irrelevant and nobody playing, and you got a whole slew of teams that start to tank early. Well, this year, because you got so many people that have the option to possibly get into the play-in, you didn't have a whole slew of teams tanking. You only had a little small handful of teams that were tanking. You see what I'm saying? So I think it solved that problem. And I think it solved the problem of the last 10 to 15 games of the season being relevant.
So hold on, Rufus. Hold on, Elder. Hold on. Let me ask you a question. About that. One, because
the mic is still staticky for you.
Whose mic? Oh, his mic. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
But hold on. I want you to hear this though, because we still had a team in the Mavericks who had a chance to make it and chose not to. So there's still tanking happening, right? So it didn't solve that. The other thing it didn't solve is if you're the 9th or 10th team that was 2 or 3 games behind, let's say Atlanta, right? Because I think that was the difference. Well, you don't have to really play as hard at the end to make it. You're just kind of like, I'm in the 9th spot. I'm in. By having 10 teams now, there's those teams that are 9, 10, 11, they have less to play for because, well, I'm in the 9th seed. So it didn't really solve it. And the whole, like, everybody's a winner. Everyone should get a chance. That's what it feels like to me. That's what it feels like to me.
Elder, you are an advocate of not handing out participation trophies.
Yeah.
You hate that. You are an advocate of that.
Toronto had the way Toronto played this season. They had no business being in the playoffs. The way Chicago played this season, no business. Sorry, whoever was 10 had no business being in the playoffs. Yeah, Chicago. Yeah, who was on the West? Who was on the West? 9 and 10. No business being in the playoffs.
I'm not trying to hand out participation awards. I'm just saying those last 10 to 15 games in the regular season for the last 20 years have been born. No one cares about them because the seedings are already in. Half the teams are tanking. The other teams are already seeded. The games were irrelevant. I think it solved that problem. I really do.
Made it more competitive. I can get with that.
Wasn't it started because of COVID?
It was started because Dame said he wasn't going to the bubble if he had no chance of making the playoffs, and then they ended up making a play-in so that his team would have a chance. So blame Damian Lillard.
Seymour's, and that's what I was about to go. That's what I was about to go because just like Fluent or Chill, just like Chill just said, it's that participation trophy. And these
push me out, and I'll come in on another apparatus if I'm static.
I'll push him out.
The thing. So now these kids, just like our Dame said, if they feel like oh, I don't got the chance, and they're just not gonna show up. You know what I'm saying? Like if I feel like. If it's
what is going on? What is going on, Dub?
Dub is like, yo, I'm working. What are you doing?
Got family in the house.
You need to lock that door. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't even see it. I missed that.
He over here grabbed my shoulder and stuff. Like, what the hell you doing, bro?
Over here. Come on, man. Anyway, go ahead, Big Option. You saying?
But yeah, though, like now, just like how you said about Dan Morris, like. And I look at them as a competitor, but most of the younger kids now, it's like they feel like if I got a opportunity to get embarrassed or if it's not in my favor, I'm just not going to show up and compete. So I think that's what the playing is supposed to be a remedy for. Although in the East, I don't even understand what them teams are even playing for. Like if you in the 7th 8th seed in the East, it's bad for you. In the West, we might compete, but in the East, like. I don't even understand what's the point.
If you're not good enough to be a top 8 seed, what makes you think a play-in where you have to play the Bucks in the first round is going to be any better?
That's my point, Fluent. Like, what are y'all doing this for? Hey, shout out Zach LaVine. Shout out Zach LaVine, but that's not going to pay off for you, brother. Like, and that's cool, though.
Has an 8th and 7th seed ever won the NBA championship? I'm not sure about
that. The closest was the Knicks in '99. They made the finals, but they lost.
They've never.
And not only that, Mars, they weren't an 8th seed. First of all,
it was a lockout season.
Right, it was a strike-shortened season. That's number one. Number two, they were dealing with a slew of injuries that year. Allen Houston was in and out of the lineup. Sprewell also was in and out of the lineup. Ewing ended up partially tearing his Achilles that year. So that was really like a top 3 seed possibly. But they ended up getting in the playoffs at the end. So I think that was a little bit.
What happened to them?
What happened to
the Knicks in the finals?
They got smoked by San Antonio in 5 games.
Smoked.
Yeah, they got smoked by San Antonio in 5 games.
Although Latrell was showing out those finals.
Oh yeah,
Latrell was getting busy.
Yes, he was. And I think if I'm not mistaken, San Antonio got dropped in the as a 1 seed by Memphis. But that was, I think, Tim Duncan. Even though he played in that series, he was beat up too.
It makes the regular season even less important. And you already have issues with teams load managing and taking nights off and whatever. Well, you just took it from 8 to 10. It doesn't make it better.
I think Rufus.
It doesn't do anything. The only positive that comes out of the play-in tournament is we get 2 or 3 extra games, and a couple of them are exciting and they're good to watch.
Joy, wait,